What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Shanghai Pete, the People's Champion. I hope you're all having a lovely week so far. You know, I used to hate this time of year growing up in New England because from January to March, it's just cold, gray, and nothing else for what feels like an eternity. I used to say that there was no worse time than 4 p.m. on a Sunday night in February. Think about that for a second. Ugh, right? But now I live in LA and there's basically just one season here, and that comes with a whole other riot of bizarre brain-melting issues. But enough about that. The dastardly games industry has been at it again, so we'd best get deep inside right away. Just time for a quick recap of the week, which was dominated by the game, oh yeah, oh you know it's coming, Pal World, baby, or Pokemon with guns. I mean, not really though, it's more like Ark or Rust with Pokemon, but fuck it, whatever. Pokemon with guns sounds more fun, so let's go with that. Now, before we go any further, complete disclosure here, I don't care about this. It's really just not my thing. But apparently millions of people feel differently because it has blown up like the second coming of Among Us or some other viral hit that burned itself out in a matter of weeks, selling over 5 million copies in just a few days. Almost like people are happy to have something to play that doesn't have a $70 price tag attached or isn't drowned in a fuckfest of microtransactions. That's crazy. I'm glad people are having fun with something though, regardless of what it is, so I am not here to shit all over everyone's breakfast. Hopefully the devs can keep up with the demand and attention and are able to flesh out and polish up what they've got here in time for a full release. There are, of course, the haters though. I'm happy to say this time I'm not one of them, but there are the haters out there calling Pal World generative AI slop and saying this is the first of many steps down a dark road for the industry featuring just more of the same. Now, so far there is no confirmed evidence that generative AI was used in the game's creation, so I don't know what to tell you. I think we're all just gonna have to wait and see on that front. Ultimately, it's probably just another fad that's likely gonna burn out sooner rather than later, in the same vein as like Fall Guys, Among Us, and many others. But in the meantime, I do hope everyone that wants to is able to have fun with this game. We all deserve it. Next up, an attack of the gaming industry ghoulies is, of course, Ubisoft, who can't seem to stay the fuck out of everyone's shit list no matter how hard they try, assuming they try at all, which now that I'm saying it, they probably don't. But anyway, Ubisoft, in the uproarious, hysterical, infinite hubris that only corpos are truly capable of, has recently taken to their bully pulpit to announce their new decree to customers. Thou shalt be fine with us fucking you.
Huh? Go ahead, Mom. F me right here in the bed's back.
Now, you might be thinking, wait, hasn't that been their policy for years at this point? Hasn't that always been their policy? And you would be right. So what's then the real reason that Ubisoft is in the news? Oh, well, they've got something new to sell you that you don't want and won't like. And they've been talking about it in the most unhinged, predictable corpo way possible. Shocking, I know. But it's true. They're rebranding their shitty subscription service that hopefully no one uses, and while doing so are taking the opportunity to do their part, along with the rest of the industry, to move y'all into a position where you're more likely and more comfortable with getting next to nothing for the money you spend on games. First it was buy some pixels, then it was buy some XP, then it was buy these new pixels, and now it's going to be buy this game that we can take away from you whenever we want. Yes, Ubisoft and the rest of the games industry, we know you want us to be comfortable not owning our games, but have you considered fuck you instead? Moving on, sadly, for our main story tonight, we must discuss the recent mass layoffs being implemented industry-wide. Yes, the long, wrong arm of capitalism and the infinite greed it demands has once again embraced our industry, and the results are, well, about what you'd expect. Our tale begins about 2 weeks ago in the scummy, sordid offices of what remains of the Unity engine platform. You guys remember Unity, right? They make that game engine that thousands of amazing indie games were built on, whose success they then tried to leverage as a cudgel to strangle many of those same indies in the crib through an utterly absurd install numbers-based revenue plan. Yeah. So, how's everything go for them? Well, after that clown car of an idea predictably crashed and burned, forcing their ridiculous CEO to resign, they're back with an even worse idea. Get rid of 25% of their staff, roughly 1,800 jobs. That's 1,800 people with no way to pay rent or their mortgage, no way to buy food for their families, no way to afford childcare or anything else. 1,800 lives ruined, families upended, healthcare gone for the sake of corpo profits. This kind of thing should make you fucking sick. In an SEC filing on the matter, Unity stated that it's making the cuts as it restructures and refocuses on its core business and to position itself for long-term profitable growth. Obviously, none of that means anything, except, of course, for the obvious bog-standard corpo mantra of shareholder profits above everything, fuck you. Seems that the previous 265 people they got rid of weren't enough, and even more lives needed to be sacrificed on the altar of profit. Also, presumably, Unity stock can go up half a point. My guess, leadership fucked the fuck up with that ridiculous pay-per-install pricing proposal. Investors and shareholders panicked because it looked like these fucking idiots were about to throw their entire goddamn business in the trash, and they had to scramble to restore faith and bring the bottom line back up out of the toilet. In practice, what does that look like? Well, it looks like the regular employees paying the price. Obviously, because of course that's what happened. That's what always happens. That's how this shit is done, as nauseating as it is. Leadership fucks up, everyone else pays the price. And girl, it's an old song and one we've heard 1,000 times, and even more tragically, one we're likely to not stop hearing anytime soon. Is this sustainable really in any way? Likely no. Do any of these people care? Likely no. And that brings us to Microsoft / Activision / Blizzard / whatever the fuck they're calling themselves these days. Who knows? Who cares? What's that gaggle of corporate grotesqueries up to? Well, it looks like the record-breaking number of industry layoffs in 2023 just were not enough to satiate economos, the perverse god of endless greed, so we're going deeper, apparently. In fact, over 5,000 games industry workers have already lost their jobs in 2024. With Riot Games and, of course, Unity also having already ruined countless lives in January alone, now falls to Microsoft, who figured they'd swing their dick around too and see if they couldn't also completely unravel the lives of a few hundred honest, hardworking, middle-class Americans. Turns out they can. 1,900 of them, to be exact. Fucking disgusting. Here's our boy, the worst boy, Fat Cock Philly Spence, talking about it.
It's been a little over 3 months since the Activision, Blizzard, and King teams joined Microsoft. As we move forward in 2024, the leadership of Microsoft Gaming and Activision Blizzard is committed to aligning on a strategy and an execution plan with a sustainable cost structure that will support the whole of our growing business. Together we've set priorities, identified areas of overlap, and ensured that we're all aligned on the best opportunities for growth.
Oh, aligned on the best opportunities for growth. That doesn't sound so bad. That actually sounds good, right? I'm sure that means that Microsoft, with its nigh infinite cash flow and inexhaustible resources, will immediately begin redistributing both to maximize the creative output of all its teams and dearly beloved employees, right? Right? After all, they did just overtake Apple as the world's most profitable company, so, right?
As part of this process, we have made the painful decision to reduce the size of our gaming workforce by approximately 1,900 roles out of the 22,000 people on our team. Oh,
So you're not actually gonna, like, so when you said growth, you actually meant the opposite? Got it. Okay. So you were saying, Philly, something about let's ruin the lives of almost 2,000 people?
the gaming leadership team and I are committed to navigating this process as thoughtfully as possible.
Right, because there's a thoughtful way to ruin people's entire lives. Of course, please continue.
The people who are directly impacted by these reductions have all played an important part in the success of Activision Blizzard and Xbox, and they should be proud of everything they've accomplished here. We are grateful for all the creativity, passion, and dedication that they have brought to our games, our players, and our colleagues. Oh.
Right, and as a reward for all their fantastic work, you've decided to tell them to go fuck themselves. That's fabulous. Awesome. We love that for them.
Those whose roles will be impacted will be notified, and we ask that you please treat your departing colleagues with the respect and compassion that is consistent with our values.
Sure, okay, so what, we fire them again? Kick them while they're down, strip them of their dignity, you know? Like, shit, you gotta hand it to Philly Spence. He really knows how to stick it in and break it the fuck off. Jesus. Rumor has it that they're also shutting down departments dedicated to bringing games to physical retail as well, taking us just one step closer to not even owning the games that we pay money for, as our earlier story about Ubisoft indicated. Insert some pro-piracy meme here. Like, they just keep giving us reasons to seek alternatives to going the legal route to obtain our games and media these days. As many people have said, piracy is a service problem. Give people good value and they won't pirate your shit. Keep doing this kind of garbage, on the other hand, though, and you will never stop having endless amounts of people like me recommending everyone pirate everything. So, sure, go ahead, Microsoft, let's see how this works out for you, because I remember how it worked out the first time you tried to do this, and so does everyone else.
I showed this already to my man here. You liked it, didn't you?
Moving on now for just a bit of good news regarding this whole clusterfuck. Not only is Bobby Kotick, the reviled ex-CEO of Activision Blizzard, gone, but now so's the most recent idiot to try his hand at steering the Blizzard ship, Mike Ybarra. Now, I was going to put up some of his last remarks here to go over, but then I realized I don't care about this idiot. Why is this good news, you might be thinking? Well, because as Blizzard president, he was largely ineffectual and left no mark whatsoever on the company or its legacy. And if he did in any small way, it was bad. He was a stand-in, a placeholder to fill the position until someone in the company actually had an intention of allowing to do things could be found. Remember, Ybarra was only tossed in as president after 3 other people needed to be gotten rid of due to the company's never-ending litany of fuck-ups and mismanagement. And now that Big Daddy Microsoft has finally gotten their dick swinging, it's time for him to go too. And I think that's fine. He wasn't doing anything except perpetuating the miserable, stagnant status quo there, so good, let's get rid of him. As I've long made clear, I think Blizzard is so far down at the bottom of the barrel at this point that almost literally any changes there, especially ones that include the rapid firings of C-suite execs like Ybarra, are just fine. Did he leave voluntarily? Did they force him out? Who cares? Goodbye.
That's good.
Now, in keeping with the theme of any change at Blizzard is good, is the news that in addition to Mike Ybarra being axed, so has that survival game Blizzard has been working on. Announced back in 2022, not much was known about that game, posthumously titled Odyssey, I think, and apparently nothing ever will because word is that it's donezo. And I think that's great. Before you say I'm wrong, just think about it. Like, do you really trust that anything being done under the auspices of the last bit of leadership at Blizzard had any merit? No, G, no. Basically, if a game was being shepherded by or had been greenlit by the same guys that decided to do Overwatch 2 the way that they did, or to do Diablo 4 the way that they did, or the last few WoW expansions the way they were done, it should be comfortably given the axe. Likely, nothing of value going to be lost there. Do we really need another microtransaction-ridden piece of filth masquerading as a Blizzard survival game to further exploit that fucking genre? I don't think so. Or another way to say it is, hey fans of survival games, do you really want Blizzard to come in there and ruin your genre? Because we know that's what they do these days. They wade into a genre, copy the good shit, make other games less relevant, and then stuff everything that they redid behind a fucking paywall. And I just don't really think that we need that done to yet another genre at this point, and if you think about it for even just a second, I think you'll agree. As always, of course, when I do talk about any change being good at places like Blizzard, I am obviously referring to the sacking of useless corpo ingrates like Mike Ybarra or trend-chasing, uninspired derivative games like this supposed survival game, and not the regular working-class employees who do the majority of work on the ground. Don't get it fucked up. They're just doing what they're told. They do not deserve punishment for that. We all know you easily could have afforded to cancel that survival game and still keep all the members of that team. You did not have to get rid of any of them. So here we are, looking at one of the first predictions for the Activision Blizzard and Microsoft merger coming true. Mass layoffs, execs canned, and games canceled. How's it feel so far? Yeah, not great. Not great at all. I'm glad Mike Ybarra is gone, but otherwise this is a fucking sad state of affairs all around, geez. 5,000 plus people in the industry all having lost their jobs so far this year, and it's not even February. That's fucking brutal. You do not want anyone or anyone's families to have to go through that kind of shit. Unfortunately, it's only going to get worse as Economos demands more and more from its ravenous corpo worshippers. This is why I'll always advocate for and support unions and recommend you do as well in your own workplace in addition to fucking everywhere else. Labor power is literally the only thing that can offset the corpo favored balance of where things are at right now. We've seen huge gains in that area recently, but we're going to need to see a hell of a lot more before these kinds of nightmare stories stop becoming an almost daily occurrence. Okay, that's our show. Thanks so much for chilling tonight and spending this little bit of your free time with us. We love you today. We love you all the way. Kind of a sad episode this week, and that sucks. I hope you guys are all having some fun playing something you love, though. Whether you're into the current fad of Pal World or a weirdo like me playing the pixel remaster of Final Fantasy V for some reason. In either case, fuck the corpos, solidarity with unions, and we'll see y'all next week.
Yup, woke up, smoke up, blunt, then I pass out. Pass out, huh? Woke up, what up, smoke up, blunt, then I'm back down. Back down, what? Yup, woke up, smoke up, blunt, then I pass out. Pass out, huh? Woke up, what up, smoke up, blunt.